Good afternoon. Welcome back to the Celluloid History Life is a Mystery channel. And as always, a special welcome to fans of the Kildares, Rebecca Fish Pond, Open Up, and not forgetting Emergency Exit. Hope everyone's well. Thanks for tuning in to the channel. Not really particularly overly prepared for today's bulletin, but we'll see how we go on. I think I turned on the television today to watch Politics Live with BBC's Vicky Young, and it seems that the Tory party conference has come to an end. Didn't seem to be much sign of it anyway. I was thinking maybe it was the last day today, but I was obviously mistaken there. But yeah, I mean, I have noted one or two, final things to sort of talk about regarding the Tory conference that's just ended. There was a big thing made of the fact that Kimi Badenoch's made a decision to abolish stamp duty. That was sort of, that seems to be one of the big items that came out of yesterday's conference. Basically, it's a tax, isn't it, when a property is bought. Excuse my glasses steamed up. I'm quite for some reason feeling quite warm today. Probably had the heating on too high or something. I've got the window open. I mean, I was just thinking it's a great sort of thing. It's a great sort of British thing, isn't it? By which other parts of culture are measured. Owning one's own home. Rather than having to rely on social housing, of course. I mean, I'm sure that's going to win. I'm sure that's going to win Badenoch's support amongst a certain, home counties, middle class sector of the UK, of England, I suppose. Really, you're talking, aren't you? Of the UK, or as I say, England, probably. We're talking, aren't we? But yeah, you do get some people voting Tory and in Wales and Scotland, of course. Although I understand Reform. Well, actually, no. Getting me facts muddled up there. What I was going to make the point that Wales, land of my fathers, 70% of the people who were eligible for vote in the referendum in Wales voted for Brexit. But obviously that is not the same thing as being a Reform voter, of course. So yeah. But yeah, I was just thinking. I mean, I suppose one thing that struck me is it sort of did come across as I watched the end of Badenoch's speech today, and it did come across as a sort of conference for the white collar section of society, you might say. I mean, obviously, you could say that might be a question of stating the bleeding obvious, perhaps, but it did really. They sort of included the old traditional Tory message of, get off your arse and get a job, which I touched on in a video the other day, I think. But the old Norman Tebbit quote, "Get on your bike," and yeah, they touched on that. Everyone, there's too many people on benefits, etc., and too many people on sickness benefit, and they're making a move, aren't they, to classify certain mental health conditions like anxiety as perhaps not sufficient to to justify people being off work. You know, my experience of mental health, you know, in my working life and my life in general, you know, there is such a thing as crippling anxiety and crippling depression, you know, so I think they need to tread carefully there. In actual fact, I think that the Labour Party, if I remember rightly, are going down a similar road regarding, you know, regarding, you know, trying to classify mild anxiety, mild depression, which you can still work, you know, but as opposed to, you know, serious sort of more, you know, more serious levels of psychiatric infirmity, if you like, you know. I mean, I suppose the danger there is, I made the point the other day that I'm certainly not claiming to be a qualified psychiatrist of any shape or form, but because I'm not. But I think the worry for me would slightly be, you know, you don't want a situation where GPs and psychiatrists, etc., are sort of influenced by, you know, the political theory in general. I mean, on that score, I mean, I suppose, you know, I suppose what I'm trying to say there is I hope the General Medical Council is a strong enough unit within itself to sort of, you know, not be too subject to outside influence from the Labour Party, the Conservative Party, the Reform Party, the Green Party, and the Liberal Democrat Party. You know, so hopefully it's a body of its own that can justify, you know, well, we must decide what severe anxiety is and what mild anxiety is, not be swayed by a politician saying everyone needs to get on their bike and get off their backsides, and, you know, regardless of, you know, life is stressful, blah, 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 you know, but, you know, so they need to have their own body that regulates them, don't they, essentially, the medical profession, you know, which they have, of course. I think they've got a doctors' union, I think. I don't know, I'm not an expert on doctors or medicine, but on that subject, one thing that did crop up in the Tory conference yesterday was Badenoch says he's going to make it illegal for doctors to go on strike. Now that should get a few doctors talking, no doubt. I don't really know what I feel about that. I mean, it is quite a complex one, isn't it? That, I mean, you know, on the one hand, you know, I think it's in their oath that they've got to uphold certain criteria of commitment in their Hippocratic oath, but I'm sure they debate that till the cows come home amongst themselves. But yeah, I mean, it's a fine line between having a duty of care to patients, isn't it, and a feeling as though they're being overworked or exploited, I guess, by economic issues caused by politicians, you know. So anyway, good luck. I wish them well. I've worked in healthcare for many years myself, in the capacity of hospital porter and also healthcare support worker, you know, and also I was a student nurse for a while. That didn't work out for me, but certainly got you know, some great life experience doing that, you know. Hats off to nurses, as I say, you know. Yeah, but as I say, I was a support worker for about 6 or 7 years, working people with learning disabilities, and I had 2 stints of hospital portering as well. One, both for roughly 3 years. One just after the millennium, and the other one was my last job. And anyway, I won't go into that. I'm not doing a video CV, am I? I might put off Coca-Cola, Walmart, ICI, and Sony BMG, but endorse using my channel as to endorse their products if I'm not careful. I've got to keep up the make the content relevant. So here, anyway, back to what we were talking about. I think lost my train of thought really there. I've gotten a bit distracted. But I know I was talking about I think the last main point I made was Kimi Badenoch made the point that she's going to make it illegal for doctors to go on strike, which should cause a bit of a stir in Westminster, I would imagine, or certainly amongst medical circles. But yeah, I mean, more broadly talking about work, this thing that the Tories have about, I agree when they say that work is good for work is much better for people's health than not working. I believe that to be the case. But I mean, the issue is, what are you working for? Who's? I mean, another thing Badenoch said was, she wants to make it so that the word profit is not a dirty word. It's always this. There's always this battle, isn't there, between Labour and the Tories regarding, Tories saying, well, we need business, we need business people to be able to be free to, charge to pay what they like to staff, which that used to be the case before minimum wage came in. People getting paid very low wages and that. And we need to be, to free up the entrepreneurs, and we need to attract business to our country, and and that on the other side you've got Labour who are far more in line and aware of stuff like the stress of having a 0 hours contract, or the stress of simply not earning enough to live on, and the stress of well, I mean, sometimes some of the stresses are hard to pin down, aren't they? But there's certain stresses like if quite a lot of people get stuck in this trap where they're actually working for a temping agency, don't they? And they haven't actually got a proper full-time contract at the job they're working at, and in that sense, I think workers in that situation can start to feel like a bit of a number quite quickly, and if they leave the job, then the temping agency just gets some other Joe Blogs and Jane Blogs off the street to take their place, don't they? I mean, the amount of times in my work history I've heard a joke regarding that old prisoner program. People saying, I am not a prisoner, I am a free man. That quote from The Prisoner. Now that is the type of thing that the Labour Party traditionally addresses, isn't it? There's the idea that work should pay not only money, but it should pay spiritually and psychologically as well, I guess, is the thing, I'm sure Clement Attlee back in the day had those concepts in mind, God rest his soul, Now Starmer, the present leader of the Labour Party, actually comes under a lot of pressure for being a watered down Tory. We've got this sort of pecking order, haven't we, now in politics, where the Tories get criticised for being watered down, a watered down version of reform, and the Labour get criticised for being a watered down version of the Tories. And Ed Davey gets criticised for doing stunts, going windsurfing and abseiling, whatever he does, so he can get, so it makes nice little TikTok videos, doesn't it, and stuff like that. It gets publicity for the Liberal Democrats. And as I say, I've already spoken a few times about Zach Polanski. He's kind of new on the scene, isn't he? But I made the point yesterday that I think whether it's right-wing populism or left-wing populism, personally speaking, I'm a bit sceptical about the populism within politics. I think it's a bit of a slightly worrying road to go down. Although I accept that as a political concept, it does hold a measure of power, if you like, you know. But the question is it positive? Is it sort of healthy power? I guess you could say, you know. So yeah, a bit of a vague sort of roundup of politics in general today. I'm aware we've hit the 15-minute mark. Thank you for still being with me. It is much appreciated. Another thing I was thinking. You've got Jeremy Corbyn, haven't you, on the left of the political spectrum, which appears to have shifted very much to the right, thanks to Donald Trump and reform. You know, I was almost thinking last night that maybe, you know, the Tory. Well, I've already made the point that I think, I don't know why I'm worried about the Tories. I've never been a Tory, but I believe the way forward for them would probably be to sort of embrace the one nation Tory moderate tradition of that particular party. I think the late Ted Heath was an example of that. Sometimes they get called wets, don't they? Tory wets, are sort of disparaging terms that these people are, you know, that come up in politics. Like, you know, it's like people in the centre left get called snowflakes, don't they? You know. But I certainly think that would be the way forward for the Tories. As I say, I don't know why I'm strategizing for the Tories, and I'm a lifelong Labour voter, as I keep saying. But if everything is going to the right, then if Reform are taken over from where who did the old real right wingers used to be? There was some, wasn't there? Was it? Anyway, if Reform are occupying that traditionally sort of hard right ground, then it does create a situation where perhaps the Tories are more, you know, can be more moderate, you know. And last night I was thinking, you know, after I've sort of acknowledged that, you know, basically the commercial life is kind of a capitalist phenomenon, and you know, Marxism probably hasn't got much to offer it. I was wondering, could I ever possibly be bought by someone in the, you know, come and join the Tories, you know? If it, I don't know about that. It's just too much water under the bridge, I think, really, Tories. But I'd certainly, if that, I've probably lost about half my viewers now. But if you know, because I suppose what I'm trying to say is I'm probably on the right of the Labour Party, which theoretically should be not too much different from the left of the Tory party. But I mean, all this history, you know, like Cameron's and dodgy goings on with hogs and swine and things like that, and some of these I've probably been watching too many movies, actually, too many British crime movies and stuff. But I don't know. Everyone can be bought, you know. Get your offers in, you know. But I would be an awful lot more moderate than I would certainly not be trying to ape Robert Jenrick. That's for damn sure, you know. And anyway, I'm digging myself into a hole here, aren't I? I'd be the most left-wing Tory in the history of Conservative Party, you know. Might be interesting. I've only got 16, 17 years of working life left anyway, so, you know, get the offers into my people. And anyway, I was doing a bit Ronnie Corbett-esque there, because I was talking about Jeremy Corbyn. Yeah, I mean, I certainly would, if I went into politics, like, say, for example, I, you know, decided I was going to start up a new political party. I think one mistake I wouldn't make is Corbyn appeared to have started a new political party without having a name for it, didn't he? Not really a very good idea, that, is it, really? I mean, you know, what's the name of your party? I don't know, I haven't thought of one yet, you know. I mean, you're not really going to be taken seriously. I mean, even though, I mean, my background's in, you know, the amateur live music circuit, you know. I say amateur, I mean all original compositions, you know, semi-professionals at some points, but even a pop group would get, you know, people eyebrows would be raised if you try and book a gig and say, you know, what's the name of your band? Don't know, we haven't thought of one yet. I mean, never mind if you're a sort of ex-leader of the Labour Party. I mean, you know. Anyway, maybe Corbyn's got a decent reason for that. I'm not sure, but he appears to have had some wrangling with the person he formed the party with as well. Didn't they take him to court for defamation of character or something? But mind boggles. But I hope he's well. Anyway, I am aware that we've hit the 20-minute mark. I'm going to try and make it a bit shorter this evening. We'll try and wrap it up. I've had a bit of a waffle there about politics. You know, I was just wondering, actually, one thing I was wondering was that, you know, in my introduction, should I have mentioned, you know, I've sort of mentioned before, you know, people who own pigeons and people who like pigeons, people who own whippets, and then down south, you know, people who've got a cousin who wants new Reggie Cray, you know. I was sort of using that as a way of sort of pigeonholing my audience, you know. But I want to make this channel completely inclusive, you know. Irish, you know, royal family, you know, Prince William, come on down, you know, and aristocracy, very welcome to watch my videos. Middle classes, of course, and yeah, I mean, and I thought I don't want to leave the Midlands out. I mean, the Midlands gets quite a poor press, doesn't it? It is, after all, where Duran Duran and Black Sabbath hail from, isn't it? So it can't be all bad in the Midlands. But yeah, it's and you know, I've already sort of alluded to the fact that I'm well, I sort of consider myself half Welsh, half English, but when push comes to shove, I'm sort of more Welsh, you know, especially if we're talking in terms of when it comes to rugby and. But you know, as I was raised on the Welsh-English border, basically, and Scotland. Well, I mean, Wales has got its own politics as well, of course, hasn't it? It's got its own parliament, but Scotland's definitely a sort of separate entity, isn't it? You know, especially the Scots who you know. Who are very fond of the film Braveheart, maybe, you know, sort of rabble-rousing piece of celluloid, isn't it, from the great Mel Gibson? Am I allowed to call him great? He's had his, isn't he? He's had one or two scandals, hasn't he? You know, but I think anyway, no one's perfect, I guess. People are people, so why should it be you and I should get along so awfully? That's a fairly inaccurate Dave Gahan from Depeche Mode impression there. Yeah, I think I'm going to wrap this one up today because it's been a bit of a waffly one, but I've enjoyed it. I hope you've enjoyed it. I wish you well. I hope you have a good Thursday night. And you know, the Tory party conference is over for another year. You know, I'm sure we can survive 12 months till the next one, and not to mention 12 months till the next Labour Party conference. And it remains to be seen what's going to happen with reform, with Zach Polanski. I hope Zach Polanski doesn't recruit any extras from Lord of the Rings, you know, for his radical leftist populism. And who else? We've got Ed Davey. You know, maybe we're going to see him dressing up as Mr. Blobby or something on a screen near you soon. You know, but yeah. Enjoy your politics, everyone. Enjoy your social media age. Enjoy your you know, rise of the internet shenanigans. And remember, always end your political videos by slowing down the pace of your talk so that what you're saying carries more emphasis. Good night. See you soon.